My name is Ashish Jaiswal,
Hi, I'm Christos Sevastopoulos,
and we are PhD students from the Heraklia Human Centered Computing Lab.
under the supervision of Dr. Filia Makedon.
So I did my undergrad in electrical engineering from Kathmandu, Nepal.
Prior to joining UTA, I obtained a bachelor's degree from the National and Kapodistran University of Athens in physics and a master's degree in robotics by the University of Bristol in United Kingdom.
So after the completion of my undergrad degree, I was looking for PhD programs all over the United States. And I stumbled upon the Heraklia's website where I found that the lab was doing a lot of cool projects. And I was specifically interested in machine learning and computer vision, which matched my interests with the lab. So I decided to contact Professor Makedon, which is how I ended up in this lab.
I'm actually part of a joint program between the National Center for Scientific Research Demokritos in Athens, Greece, which has the collaboration with UT Arlington and particularly Dr. Makedon. So that's how my transition was realized to Arlington.
So most of the PhD programs have two parts in it. So the first part is to complete all the required courses. And then we have this other part, which is all research. So in the research courses, we have to find a lab, find a supervisor, discuss with them what our research interests are, and then we decide what our PhD proposal is going to be. So the first milestone is to make sure that you are an eligible PhD candidate. So for that, we have to read a lot of research papers, prepare for the papers, and then take an exam. After we pass the exam, we qualify as a PhD candidate. Then we start our PhD research, where we find a niche topic on which we want to do our research. And after we finalize it with our supervisor, we are then allowed to propose our thesis. So the thesis is usually judged by a committee of supervisors. After our PhD proposal is accepted, we are then allowed to work on our thesis and complete all the required experimentation and research so that we can defend it whenever we think we are finished.
I think it's the thesis proposal that actually does, because the rest he talked about is kind of preparative work. You need to be very aware of what you are actually proposing, and you need to have a concrete plan with some, let's say, plan Bs with some candidate deviations from it in order to be able to, to bring it to an end. Otherwise, if you don't have a clear picture about what you are going to work on, you might get lost.
So in terms of my PhD project, I had to do a lot of usage studies to collect data from human subjects. And then with some data analysis, I proved that my thesis was actually valid and whatever I proposed was something novel and was useful to the scientific community.
My actual thesis defense took place where I had to somehow present all the findings, validate the findings theoretically, give a literature review, provide why the state of the art had certain gaps that my proposal was trying to address, and eventually connect all the dots to a story that makes sense from a research point of view and something that actually benefits the current, and maybe it can act as a stepping stone for further improvements by fellow researchers all over the world.
It depends on the student. Like if you want some industry experience, you can always apply for internships.
You can always, actually it depends on how proactive the student is, because because apart from industry experience, you can get the research experience as well. I think we both worked on research projects. You also have the potential to do additional research in another lab, and this way you can expand your network. You can meet other professors from other universities. There are labs that are actually looking for interns.
So after I completed my courses, I started doing more research, and that is when I started treating my PhD as a 9-to-5 job. So I used to come to the lab in the morning and then leave by the end of the day.
I was there every day during the week, including weekends, because I had a goal, and this goal gave me motivation to kind of forget that I have a life. Okay, I think now you don't have to pay for the university, but every PhD student is entitled to a monthly stipend. So as long as the student is frugal and focused on their research, then probably they're not gonna run up to any financial problems.
So I got a return offer from Meta. So I'll be continuing as a research scientist.
My plan is to continue doing research, either by being part of an academic institution or an organization in the industry. You have to try, you have to fail, but eventually you're going to succeed, you're going to learn.
Yes, so if you are going for a PhD, just remember that it's a long journey. Usually takes like 5 to 6 years to complete it. So you have to be consistent throughout your PhD years.
It's not a shame to ask for help. Accept the fact that that there are many things we are not aware of, but that's what the student does. The student has to be open to continuous learning and to opportunities created by continuous learning and by understanding what is going wrong throughout the process. I think this is what PhD students should have in mind.
Yeah, I hope that you got some meaningful insights from this video, and I hope you are passionate about pursuing a PhD and you do well in your research.